Lesson 10-6, we're going to take a look at quadrilaterals. In quadrilaterals, you should see the word quad in there, typically means four, so 4 sides and 4 angles. Quadrilaterals are named based on their sides and their angles. So depending on if the sides are congruent or the sides are parallel or perpendicular, the length of the sides, or if they are all the same or if they're all different, will determine what the name of the quadrilateral will be. If a quadrilateral has all the properties of a parallelogram and a rhombus, then the best description of the quadrilateral is a rhombus, because there are parts about a rhombus that include a parallelogram, but parts about a parallelogram that do not include a rhombus. If a quadrilateral has all the properties of a parallelogram, a rhombus, a rectangle, and a square, then the best description of a quadrilateral is a square, because a square can be a rectangle, but a rectangle cannot be a square. So by definition, the best description of something that would include all of those quadrilaterals would be a square. So here's just a visual diagram of what we just talked about. In the center, you see you have a parallelogram that identifies the parallel sides and the congruent sides of the shape. From there, you have a quadrilateral, which is up top, and none of the sides are the same, none of the angles are the same, it's just a quadrilateral. Off to the left of that is a trapezoid. A trapezoid is a quadrilateral with exactly one pair of parallel sides, but none of the sides are congruent. From the parallelogram, you have your rhombus, your square, and your rectangle. And you can see that the definition of a rectangle is a parallelogram with 4 right angles. Well, a square is also a rectangle because a square has 4 right angles, but a rectangle cannot be a square because the definition of a square is that it has 4 right angles and 4 congruent sides. So a rectangle can be a square, but a square cannot be a rectangle. So when we are trying to identify parts of a quadrilateral, we typically use things like arrows and lines. If you have the sides of a quadrilateral and one side has one line on it, like this example here, that means that all the sides of that quadrilateral that have one line on it are the same as that beginning side. It goes the same if you have sides that have 2 lines on it. That means that all the sides that are 2 lines are the same, 3 lines, and so on. When you have a shape that has arrows, like this shape, that means that the 2 lines that have just one arrow, both of those lines are parallel to each other. The 2 lines that have 2 arrows are parallel, and that would continue just like with the lines. You would also see something like this in angles. You would see something that maybe if we were looking at triangles, we would have maybe 1 line here and 2 lines up here and 1 line in the corner. The ones with kind of the 1 line arch identify that those arches are congruent and that the third one that has 2 lines is not the same as the other 2. When we're looking at angles of a quadrilateral, remembering that this is 4 sides, the sum of the measure of the angles of a quadrilateral are 360 degrees. So when you add all of the angles up, it must equal 360. You can use this information to find a missing angle by finding up all the sum of the other sides and subtracting that from 360. So let's take a look at this example here. We want to find the measure of the missing angle. So if we add all the measures up, 73 plus 59 plus 85, we get 217. Well, we know that 217 plus x would equal 360. So you can subtract 217 from both sides, which will leave you with 143 for your missing angle.